Terry Koshan here with Steve Simmons at the Ford Performance Center on Tuesday. Maple Leafs get back to practice today, Steve, after a terrible road trip. There's no way to put it. Start off with a win in Winnipeg, then you lose 4 in a row. What'd you make of the mood of the practice today, and then the mood amongst the guys afterwards?
I think there's a realistic view right now that this team's not good enough. Nobody's candy coating that. I didn't hear one player say that's what, that this is, the record is fine and they're playing fine. Nobody said that. I think they all realize they have problems. They have to fix the problems, and they got to get to, and that's what we saw in the practice, I think, today, was they attacked some of the areas that they need to improve upon.
Last year, we saw this team go through a similar start. They eventually turned it around. For you, what's the key for the Leafs to get going tomorrow night against Philly and then beyond?
Well, I think it's puck movement. Yeah. I think, they talked about, some of the players talked about it, and I think Sheldon Keefe, the coach, talked about it. That first pass from your defenseman to your forwards, getting up, breaking out of your zone, and getting through the neutral zone with speed. And they haven't been able to do that. And they turned it over a few times in Anaheim on Sunday night, and they lost the game because of the turnovers and because of the problems they had getting through the neutral zone. And I think that's something that this team needs to do better. And right now there's a disconnect. And we see it on losing hockey teams all the time. A disconnect between defense and forwards. And what happens in situations like that, the defense blames the forward for not supporting them enough. The forward blames the defense for not getting a good enough pass to get them moving.
Well, the fact of the matter is that they've been through this and all that sort of thing shouldn't really matter, because it shouldn't have happened again. And you're right, there is a disconnect, the forwards and the forward group. We saw Sheldon Keefe mix up the defense pairs again today. But really, the core of this team has been the same through all of this. What's happened in the playoffs, that sort of thing. And it's really on the core to get this team out of it, isn't it?
This is a players thing, not just the core. I think right through the roster. This is a team that has to play like they're a team. Not a group of individuals, not a bunch of guys on their own. They have to be a team, and they haven't been a team. And you watch, every night, it's not the same guy who's messing up. It's a different guy, and it's a different circumstance. And I think when you get into that thing, it almost becomes self-perpetuating. Like, everyone knows something bad is going to happen. It's just a question of who and when. And when we're sitting here after 10 games, and Austin Matthews, one of the great players in the world, has one even strength point. Yeah. Well, I think that we can start right there.
Yeah. Agreed. And, for me, it is the core that really has to lead this team out of it. Again, Steve saying earlier, good practice today. We'll see if that carries forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that things will be great against the Flyers on Wednesday. But certainly the Leafs have to get something going at Scotiabank Arena. One lineup change. Wayne Simmons down to the Marlies. Pontus Holmberg up. He'll center the third line. And the Leafs hoping to get a good contribution from him. For Steve Simmons, I'm Terry Koshan reporting for Post Media from the Ford Performance Center.